So should you buy or sell a Las Vegas home right now? Watch this video, guys, because I think you're going to be very surprised at the news I'm about to tell you. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your favorite Las Vegas realtor. Hey guys, before we dive into the video, a couple of quick things. Number one, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about the Las Vegas real estate market, then definitely subscribe down below. Number two, give me a thumbs up like, guys. That would really help the channel out. Number three, if you guys are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, I've got your back. I'm a local realtor here. All you need to do is just call, text, or email me anytime, and I will help you find that perfect dream home. And last but not least, guys, stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to be making a very bold statement. Let's dive into the video. Well, guys, if you've been watching the news, it is official. The world is on fire. The stock market is crashing to levels that we haven't seen in years. Mortgage rates and interest rates are through the roof now. Home prices are also astronomically high. Gas prices are nearing $10 in certain parts of the country. Food prices are out of control. Airline ticket prices are out of control. Everything is out of control. It's Armageddon in the country. But what can we do about it regarding real estate, specifically in Las Vegas? You're about to find out. Okay, so since everybody is in full-blown panic mode about the economy, I want to take this back specifically to the Las Vegas real estate market and show you just what has happened in the last year alone regarding home prices here. So let's take a look at this on-screen graphic here. You can see down here in the bottom left, that bottom left price of $385,000 that I have that little box around, that is from 1 year ago today. That is the average median home price of $385,000 a year ago. Now you fast forward and you see that upward trajectory of that red arrow all the way up to the box on the upper right. That upper right box obviously says $485,000. That means the average home price in 1 year in Las Vegas has increased $100,000 or almost 30%. It is absolutely a stunning statistic. I do think that is going to change soon, and I'm going to show you exactly why right now. Okay, so here's why I think the Las Vegas real estate market is going to change. We don't know when, but there are some indicators now pointing to a cool down period. So I want to show you guys this on-screen graphic just to give you guys a better idea as to what's going on here in Las Vegas. Take a look at that left side red vertical box that you see. That is from October of last year. That number at the top says about 3,500. That's how many homes were for sale in October of last year, which is still relatively low. If you see the first downward arrow pointing to March, that's when we had about 1,800 or so homes, which was record low inventory. That was one of the reasons why the prices spiked so high in the last year, because we had no inventory on the market. But if you take a look at the next arrow, the one that's going up to the top right, that long red vertical box is talking about the month of June that we're in right now. We see that the inventory has increased tremendously to just about 3,500 or 3,600 homes. It's actually getting closer to 4,000 homes right now, possibly even more. That means the market is now getting a lot more inventory, which means we're starting to get a little bit more normalized. So there's going to be a little bit of a cool down. But if you take a look at the long red vertical box there on the right and the one on the left, they're both pretty close to the same numbers of about 3,500 homes for sale. So even though we have increased inventory, it's still relatively low, which means the market is not due for the change right this second. It's going to take a little bit of time. It might take the rest of the year, but we are on the increase for inventory, which means there should be a little bit of a cool off in Las Vegas. So one other piece of data that I want to show you guys is really incredible. Take a look at this on-screen graphic. In the last 5 years alone, if you owned a home in Las Vegas, the average home price 5 years ago in 2017 was $240,000. Fast forward to the current rate right now of $485,000, and you can see that in just 5 years, home prices in Las Vegas have doubled. Now, do I think that's going to happen again in the next 5 years? That's unlikely, and the reason why is coming up next. So what I want to show you guys in the next clip is I want to show you what you can get for an average price home, what it looks like here in Las Vegas. And then what I want to do is I want to show you another level up to about $680,000 or $90,000. So we're going to kind of climb the ladder a little bit. Then we're going to go all the way up to just under $1 million. I just want to show you how far your dollar stretches here for what kind of real estate you can expect to get here, depending on your budget. And I'm going to show you a couple of things in that clip and then come back from that clip to show you exactly why I think the real estate market is going to change here. Okay guys, so what I want to do here, since the average price point in Las Vegas now for the median home price being $485,000, I wanted to show you what you can get for about that price. So here on Zillow, I just want to show you guys real quick. This is just a little bit over the average price point, but you can see this is a beautiful single-story home. Now, this is $495,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,500 square feet. And I just want to show you down here. It's built in 1994, 2-car garage, about $50 quarterly for an HOA, so that's very low, and about a 6,500 square foot lot. So you can see some of the pictures here. This is a really nice renovated 1994 single-story home here that you can get in Vegas for about the average price point here, just under $500K. Just wanted to show you guys a few pictures. What I'm going to do after that, I'm going to show you a quick clip. We're going to go up a little bit on the ladder here. We're going to go up a couple $100,000, and then we're going to go up to a little bit higher to around $1 million. Okay, guys, I want to step up a little bit higher. So this is the second of 3 properties that I want to show you. So we're up a little higher now at the $680,000 range. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,800 square feet. You can see how beautiful this home is. But what I want to show you right here real quick, guys, price cut says $73,000. That means this home was listed originally for $750,000 and there were no takers. So you're starting to see this a lot more now where the prices are starting to come down because the sellers are really reaching and they can't get the numbers they want anymore. So prices are starting to be cut. That is a good sign for buyers if you're coming into the market on the buying side. So if you scroll down here a little bit here, right there, that's built in 2017, 3-car garage, $58 a month in the HO fee, which is really pretty reasonable, and about a 5,200 square foot lot. So let's take a look at a few of these pictures before we step up a little bit higher on the prices. You can see this is really well done. Just want to go through a few of the pictures here. And now we're going to go up to a higher level, just under $1 million. Okay guys, I wanted to step up to one more price point level. I wanted to show you that if you have the budget and you wanted to get up closer to $1 million, this is what an average $1 million home looks like in Las Vegas. So you can see this is a beautiful 2-story home in the northwest part of the valley. Right here you can see it's $990,000, 6 beds, 6 baths, almost 5,000 square feet. But again, take a look at this, guys. Price cut $60,000. That means the seller was really trying to sell this for about $1,050,000, but they didn't get it. So this is now starting to happen across the board. So if you're a buyer, this is a good sign. Now let's scroll down a little bit here. You can see this is built in 2000, 2-car garage, 108 monthly HOA. That's about average for that kind of price point up there, and a 9,100 square foot lot. So you definitely have more lot square footage here. Let's look at a few of the pictures here. I think you guys are going to really like it. I mean, look at how open this great room area is here. Not too shabby. I also want to show you guys the backyard, because this backyard, when you get to this price point, this is when you can really step up a little bit here. So let's get out of this picture here and let's scroll down a little bit more. You can see the kitchen. Let's take a peek at the kitchen here. So you can see, again, much more expansive, bigger kitchen area, obviously, because you've got a lot more square footage inside the house. But let's take a look at the backyard. I think you guys are going to like this, because this is when you get to this kind of price point, you certainly get more of a backyard. So let's take a look at this. So now you can see a lot of grass, a lot of nice greenery here. A lot of the new home communities, they do not have this. So this is a little bit older, so they have this already built in, but look at that. That's pretty special, guys. You don't even typically see that on a lot of the $1 million homes, but I want you guys to at least just get an idea of certain price points here in the Las Vegas Valley, from the average price point to about $680 up to this one for about $1 million. So obviously, guys, in that clip, you can see that you can get some pretty nice real estate here depending on your budget. But I wanted you guys to notice in the last couple of houses that I just showed you in that clip, did you notice those price cuts? Those price cuts are definitely a big indicator now, because we were not seeing any of that the last couple of months. Now you're seeing that across the board. And that basically means the sellers were trying to ask for a really high number on their homes. They're not getting it, and there's price reductions happening across the board. That's a good sign if you're a buyer, because if you're coming into the market now, it's going to be less competitive and the prices are going down. So I want to be clear on that last point that I just made, because even though price reductions are happening across the board, there's a reason for that. The sellers have been very greedy. They've been trying to get very unrealistic numbers for their homes. And now what they're realizing is buyers are kind of smartening up. They're not as competitive out there. So prices are starting to come down a little bit. That does not mean a crash is happening. And there's a difference between growth versus decline or a crash. The growth, it might be a little bit more steady now coming in Las Vegas. It's not going to go up another 30% in the next year. It's obviously going to possibly level out or come down maybe a little bit, but a crash is not likely. And I'm going to tell you why in the next clip. So even though I think the Las Vegas housing market's rapid appreciation is finally going to start to slow down, I definitely do not think we are going to decline, and I certainly don't see a crash coming anytime soon like a lot of people are predicting. And here's one of the reasons why. Take a look at this graphic here on screen. There are hedge funds and private equity companies and investors that have bought up thousands and thousands of homes in Las Vegas and across the country. Those companies have huge sums of money. They have put that money into houses. They are renting them out to get a good yield for their investors. And companies that have multi-billion-dollar valuations and endless amounts of cash flow, they are not going to let the real estate market crash with the kind of investment that they have made in the market. And I'm going to give you a perfect example because I want to show you right now one of the listings that I personally have. I want you to take a look at this graphic. Now, this is an average home in Las Vegas that was my personal listing from last month. You can see the top line number. We listed it for $429,000. Within 3 days last month, we got a call from an investment company and they put in a bid for $469,000. Needless to say, my clients were elated. They obviously took the offer for $40,000 over asking price. Now, this is right when we started getting up to the higher interest rate levels and things started to finally level out a little bit. But the investment companies and the hedge funds have huge sums of money, like I just said in the previous clip. So they're still putting in a lot of money into this market, which means they see this market growing over time. So that's why when you have these kinds of companies putting in this kind of money, you're really not going to see a major decline or any kind of a crash because they have too much money vested in it to keep the market propped up. So when I make videos like this, guys, I usually get people that agree with me, and I also get a lot of people that disagree with me. They think a market crash is inevitable, a major decline is happening, and that's fine. I have no problem with you guys writing any kind of comments you want down below, but I do want to talk about one other thing. I look at the data points, I look at different website information from smart people, and I want to just show you this sample from the Motley Fool website just to kind of back up a little bit about what I'm saying. So let's take a look at this clip right now. Okay guys, so this is an article from the Motley Fool. I wanted to show you what they're predicting for the rest of the year in 2022. So I wanted to scroll down and show you their 3 predictions on the second half of 2022. So if we go down here, number 1, they think mortgage rates will remain high, but the increases should taper off. Now that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Mortgage rates definitely have gone up tremendously so far during this year for the first half of 2022, but I think there will be a little bit of a tapering off period because they can't just keep raising rates. So let's go down to number 2. Number 2, housing inventory will increase, but only a little. That's again what I had mentioned earlier in the video specific to Las Vegas. Inventory has definitely gone up, but it's going up a little bit. It's not really going into an overdrive mode where we have a huge flood of inventory of homes coming back on the market. And then number 3 down here, home prices will remain high. And that's basically what I was talking about as well. Even though inventory is coming up, there's still a tremendous amount of demand. So home prices are going to remain high. They're not going to just drop off and that there's going to be a crash like many people are predicting. Okay, so let's talk about those 3 points briefly that you just saw in that article. Number 1, interest rates and mortgage rates are at record highs, but I do think there's going to be a tapering off period. And the reason why is this. During a hyperinflationary time, the Fed has to raise interest rates to try to curb inflation, but they're not doing a good job of it. So what does that mean? That means if inflation stays high, they can't just keep raising rates, otherwise they're going to crash the economy. So they are going to curb the rate increases, in my opinion, as we get to the end of the year and maybe into the new year. It's not going to just be raising rates every single month. So what does that mean? That means that housing inventory, while rates are high, has gone up, like I had mentioned and shown you guys earlier in the video. So the inventory is going up, which means there is going to be a little bit of a leveling off of the real estate market across the board, but the housing prices are going to stay high. Like I had mentioned before, you've got hedge funds, pension funds, investors that are all propping up the market. I do not see a decline happening anytime soon across the board, whether it's nationally or here in Las Vegas, because even though interest rates have gone up and the housing inventory has gone up, there's still a lot of buyers out there. So that's going to keep the market still pretty hot. All right, so one of the things I want to talk to you guys about regarding buying a home in Las Vegas is I want to talk to you about the statistics of that and the statistics of how buying a home is basically a forced retirement account for yourself if you do it. Now, let me just talk to you guys about that for just a second. Most people usually don't have a lot of money in retirement savings. Some people might have $30,000, $50,000, $100,000, but it's certainly not enough to retire on. But if you buy a home specifically in Las Vegas, you saw that earlier statistic. I'm going to put it up there again right now. You can see just in the last 5 years, again, this is the statistic that I put up earlier. If you owned a home 5 years ago in Las Vegas, it has doubled in the last 5 years. That's a lot of equity and a lot of what I call forced retirement savings. If you take a look at this statistic, in the last 10 years, prices of Las Vegas homes have quadrupled. So if you take a look at the city of Las Vegas in particular, if you buy a home here, it's kind of like getting a forced retirement account, because as you put money into the home and equity builds over time, it doesn't matter if it happens over 3 years or 5 years or 10 or 15 years. The equity appreciation constantly grows in a city like Las Vegas because it's still an up and coming city. So you need to think about buying a home in Las Vegas. Just for that example alone, if you don't have the ability to save in a retirement account, Las Vegas is a great place to park your money. Okay, so here's what I want to do now. I want to give some advice out to sellers who are thinking about potentially selling their home in Las Vegas or anywhere else in the country. And then I want to give some advice to potential buyers who might want to buy a home in Las Vegas. So here's my advice to sellers. So here's my advice to anyone who's thinking of selling their home in Las Vegas or anywhere else in the country. It's risky to keep waiting. And I have a couple of clients right now that are telling me that they want to wait it out just to see if they can maximize the price a little bit more. That's not what you want to do, because right now, in my opinion, I think we're pretty close to the peak of this market cycle. So if you wait a little bit longer, there's probably going to be less buyers now because interest rates are higher. So if you're thinking about selling, now is a good time to do it, because having that sale now while we're still at the peak, before we have any kind of a cool down or interest rates go up anymore, it's the best time to do that to maximize your equity appreciation. So here's my advice to people who are thinking about buying a home in Las Vegas or anywhere else in the country. We all know that patience is a virtue. You can sit on the sidelines, sit tight, not do anything, watch what happens if rates go up a little bit higher. Maybe there's less buyers in the overall market, which means prices will level out, or they might come down a little bit. But as I had mentioned and shown you guys earlier in the video, all sectors across the board during a hyperinflationary time, everything is through the roof. Car prices, food prices, gasoline prices, housing prices, airline tickets, everything. Does that mean it will stay that high forever? Probably not, but do you really see that retreating back down to some record low levels? I don't. I think inflation is here to stay. So if you buy a home now, you certainly can do that, or you can wait a little bit just to kind of see what happens for the rest of the year. But over time, like I had mentioned earlier in the video, everything keeps going up. Things do not get cheaper in life. Everything gets more expensive. So if you want to sit on the sidelines, you can do that. But over time, the best thing is try to get into the market when you're ready and hold on to that piece of property, because over time, the equity will accrue in that home and you will make money, like I had mentioned in the last clip about having a forced retirement account. But that really depends on your motivation. Okay, so let's talk about motivation in just a second. I want to go back to what I said at the very beginning of the video, where I said I was going to make a bold statement at the end. Well, here's my bold statement. I'm going to actually start it with a question. Do you know anybody that has owned a home for the past 10 years that has lost money on their home? The answer is no. And just in the last couple of years, a lot of people have made a lot of money. So my bold statement is this. If you're looking to buy a home and hold on to it for at least 10 years, whether it's during a hot market cycle now or it's a colder market cycle, it doesn't really matter. It's like the stock market. If you play the long game, you will win. It will be a forced retirement account. You will build equity. It's much better than renting. That is just what the statistics show. So then it goes back to boiling down to what your motivation is. If you're truly motivated to buy a home, you'll do it. Some people, again, they want to wait, they want to sit on the sidelines. That's fine. All I'm telling you guys is that the statistics show that if you buy a home and you hold on to it for a longer period of time, it doesn't matter when you buy a home. As long as you're holding on to it for a period of time, like everything, over time, the numbers will climb. You will build equity and you could potentially build wealth. So I want to thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to comment down below whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I welcome all kinds of comments. I appreciate you guys watching. And just remember, if you're thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, You know I've got your back. I'm a local realtor here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.